Thank you to everybody. In this presentation, we are going to see the real world of digital investigation and what is going to change. Because I'm starting now, it's more than 15 years ago with the digital forensics. And I found a lot of difference between in the past, just in the past 2 years. And this is a new approach, a new methodology that I'm going to testing in a lot of cases now. For example, cyber espionage case or cyber attack or other kind of case, also insider threat, that it's working. And with this kind of methodology, we are able to find everything because it's an investigation that it's a total, it's not just a static, but it's a dynamic also investigation. So let's starting. What we are going to see, the digital forensics part, the cyber threat intelligence analysis, the new methodology, and the links between these two worlds. In my experience, I felt and I feel that these two worlds, it's totally separate. It's totally divided. So this is me and also part of my team. We are going to try to merge this kind of two worlds. Digital forensics, we know that is the science who study how to have information and evidence from hard drive, laptop, network, but we are going to start also with the drones or IoT investigation. But who is nowadays the digital forensic? So we have an IT background, perfect organizer, a genius, yes, because a lot of time, as I think you know, we have to try and we have to build new tools by ourselves to recover information, for example, from drones or from mainframes. We don't have static or the standard tools of forensics that are able to gathering information. But we have all this part, but also the other skill, the legal part, the geopolitical, and the psychological part. Because in this world, we just have the contact with the people, and a lot of time we solve people problem, not just company problem. So this is why we have to do a soft approach, for example, in cyberbullying or cyberstalking case. But this is our new fields, for example, now. We have all this part that is new part, the SCADA, the automotive, the GPS, the drones, and IoT. For example, I starting 3 years ago doing forensics on drones. Forensics on drones, it's so different because you have to do forensics from also from the sensor, the embedded sensor of the drone, that it's and it's a separate environment. But this is the two standard phases of digital forensics phases and cyber threat intelligence phases. In the digital forensics, we have the identification, collection, preservation, analysis, and presentation. In the part of CTI, we have the planning and direction, collection, processing and exploitation, analysis and production, and dissemination and integration. What is going to merge? It is two different kind of phases, but for example, we starting to merge from the collection. We're starting to merge this methodology, this new kind of investigation from the collection of information. Because you have to think, digital forensics, we are going to take, for example, from an hard drive or from a network that is a physical part. CTI, we are going to collect information that it's out of a company, out of a system. So we have to gathering information from outside, for example, from the dark web intelligence or the network intelligence or from the botnet or from sometimes undercover operation. So this is why we're starting from the collection. The standard type of gathering information is the data analysis, and it's also called the post-mortem analysis. The live analysis that we know very well, for example, for the network forensics part, for the memory part, but also for a particular type of attack. And then we have the proactive analysis with the cyber threat intelligence part that we can merge with all this kind of depth and live analysis. For example, in this kind of screenshot, I don't know if you are able to see, it's a new malware related to today at 5 a.m. in the morning. So that we are able to see in our system. And this is so interesting because with this part, we are sure, totally sure which kind of malware is, but also which kind of infection is. We have some exposure to unknown threats, and we have some punctual context. So in which case we applied now this kind of new methodology. We apply to financial, to telco, to satellite, to transportation, e-health, information warfare, to everything. But in this presentation, we are going to see, for example, SCADA environment connected to mobile forensics environment. This is the approach of the cyber threat intelligence that we're starting to have with the digital forensics. It's not just IOC, TTPs, no. It's a part of intelligence that is connected to the cyber, to human, and to the signal. So we have the part of bad actor, campaign, kill chain, the identity locator. So it's not just the standard cyber threat intelligence, it's the cyber human and signal. So for example, this is what we have collected in these days or in these months, and this is real data. But for example, this is our platform that we merged inside with the forensics, with the help of forensics. We have and we put inside all this kind of information. Okay, starting, for example, this is a case from last week. It was an attack of a mobile phone, and it's a mobile forensics, but it's not just the mobile forensics part. It's a network forensics connected also to a server. So what we gathering? Oh, we starting from the mobile forensics part of the phone. So, and then we are going to see all the connection. So we starting to see something that it was not so very bad, not so very good, something some information about IPs, and we merge immediately into the investigation. Into the investigation, we put the IP, but not just the IP, also the IOC and kind of malware, which kind of ports the malware are using. So immediately we saw that in some website or Tor website, it was relevate this kind of FP, because sometimes it's going to ask, okay, this kind of services, what it is and what is going on. But we found in other kind, and I didn't put in this kind of in this presentation, that it was just a particular malware that works on a mobile phone, or specific target, it was Apple. but the CTI analyst and forensics analyst. Today, we found these two teams that are totally separated. So we found the investigation and evidence, the proactive and the post-incident. So we starting this new approach that it's the proactive part of digital forensics. This is the methodology phases. We starting with the parts of the reporting, analysis, and data collection. So from the high level to the bottom level. So, for example, the sticks taxi reports or the malware IOC or the initiative tech reports or the tactical reports or something that is the rules. Then we found the part of analysis, the statics and the code analysis, but also the dynamic and the behavioral analysis. And this part is just part of it's the practical part that help us to find the evidence to put in CTI platform, but also in other kind of investigation. So in the first part, we have the cyber threat intelligence analysis, the collection, and the feeds. But this part, incident response and forensics, how we collect it, because we found this kind of information about the intelligence consuming and producing. So we found the part of correlation, enrichment, filtering, search, and also the contextualization part. So we're starting then to merge this part with the cyber threat intelligence collection. We can identify with this kind of investigation all the compromised element. So we can have, for example, the observable indicator and the reports with the output of intelligence analysis. In this case, with this kind of methodology, digital forensics team produce threat intelligence. So this is the new part of investigation and the new methodology, because nowadays we have these two teams that are totally separated. Now we are going, the digital forensics team, we are going to produce the threat intelligence part. For example, the intelligence analysis, we have the CTI process involved, the triage, and then the incident response forensics and threat hunting. So, but the digital forensics team produce intelligence information, but also the digital forensics team use cyber threat intelligence for the investigation. This is a real case study that we had and we study. For example, we have this kind of information into a SCADA system that is connected with the SCADA, mobile, and threat analysis. This part, we know as, for example, that the SCADA, a lot of SCADA systems are directly managed and through IoT devices, but also to mobile or other kind of devices. So this kind of attack that we are going to analyze is through Modbus devices. So this is a real case of SCADA power plant that a lot of information are going to store and to manage from the high-level part from the management from a mobile device. So what we are going to analyze? We are going to analyze all the traffic through the Modbus TCP device, but also the traffic into the mobile phone. And what we are going to discover? So we are going to discover, and this is, for example, the standard part of digital investigation and the threat intelligence part. We are going to discover that the Modbus We know that the Modbus is a particular part of embedded system that is into SCADA system that is speaking in a specific port. For example, it's the 502, or it depends by the developer, because each developer has a specific port. We know also that the Modbus it's totally unencrypted. So the Modbus, this kind of protocol is not encrypted, and a lot of attacker, if the power plant and the PLC are not they didn't not have a pen testing, they can exfiltrate a lot of information. So what we found through, for example, the Modbus TCP, information that is not so the standard one. But through the cyber threat intelligence, we found also other information that it was directly connected to the SCADA automation system and referred to the Modbus TCP protocol. So this is why, for example, we are going to have information from inside a specific PLC Modbus that it was inside the SCADA system, and the information that were outside. For example, this is another part of the same investigation, but this is going to have just a mobile forensics part. What we discover? We discover, okay, the Modbus has gone something that is exfiltrated information, but we have also some data that is going to exfiltrate from the mobile device that using SCADA system. So the mobile forensics approach, low level, for example, we starting not just with software, click, no, we are going to analyze all the file system of the mobile device that it was inserted the app of the SCADA system. And we found that it was something strange into the file system. So what it was into the file system? It was a specific kind of malware targeted just for a specific devices that contains app for SCADA. Because a specific device, a lot of companies that they produce SCADA app or communication between a SCADA system, they didn't use standard, for example, Samsung or Apple or other kind, but they are starting sometimes to reprogram their EEPROM, and they have securing device. This is just a few companies, unfortunately, that are going to do that, but sometimes we have this kind of devices to analyze. So what we are going to analyze, this part of file system, and we are going to find, for example, that into this part of the file system that was this kind of malware that was received through OTA attack. So it was over-the-air attack, because also this kind of device, it was okay with the EEPROM that was a reprogramming, so it was a securing device, but it has a SIM card to communicate also with other person. So it was a OTA attack, over-the-air attack through SMS. So, for example, this is just a part of the infrastructure that we had, because we had the host attack and network attacks, the compromised device, and the attacker through this kind of mobile phone passed through the corporate network and arrived to the brands. Oh, no. Okay. So, thanks to the cyber threat intelligence, we found the problem outside the organization. But internal, we found that was totally compromised. Through just a mobile attack, we are able, and through the mobile forensics, we are able to find a specific kind of attack. And we starting to merge because a lot of time some attack, the specific into the SCADA system, it's stealth attack and is specific kind of attack that it's not obviously public malware. So with this two environment together, we found this kind of attack. And for example, in this case, it was just through OTA over DA. But thanks to the cyber threat intelligence, we found which kind of information the attacker exfiltrate and put in a specific forum into the deep web. So this is a part of mobile forensics analysis in the hext view of the file system, and we found the part of the SMS. But we have this kind of world, two world. We have the forensics and the CTI. We have the threat hunting, but I saw today in each environment and in each companies that these two worlds are totally separated. So thanks to this kind of information that it was merged together in this way, we are able to find this kind of attack through the Modbus. So, I think that in the very near future, digital forensics analyst will become a threat hunting analyst also. Just now, the digital forensics analyst, we have and we gathering information and analysis through, for example, the mobile, the drones, or other aspect that it's low level part. But in this case, through a digital forensics, we are able to gathering information from the CTI and from the other part, the CTI through the digital forensics. So finish. If you have some question and answer, tell me. And if you want more information about this kind of attack, I can disclose, obviously, the attack and this kind of information about the specific attack, but I can demonstrate to you all the information about this kind of investigation with the phases of the investigation. Thanks.